Hi everyone and welcome back to a new video on my channel. I hope y'all are doing fine. I hope y'all are doing alright. So if you're new here, you probably don't know me yet, and so you probably also don't know that I am a bit of a language enthusiast. Like, you could maybe know me from my ASMR channel, because over there I upload videos that are language related a bit. So yeah, if you know me from there, you know that I am learning different languages and that I also speak different languages. Like, most of them I don't speak fluently yet, but language learning really has become one of my hobbies over the last couple of years, I would say. I've been learning multiple languages over the course of the last 10 years, and while I of course don't speak all of them yet, or like at least not fluently, I've gathered a good amount of knowledge in most of them. And so while I mainly learned Germanic languages and languages of the Romance language family, so of Latin origin, I've also learned, and I am still learning, some other languages, and some of them are widely being considered some of the hardest languages on the planet. Arabic, Russian, and Japanese are all considered hard languages, and I've decided to learn them all. And today I'm going to talk about which of these languages actually is the hardest in my opinion, and whether I think they're hard to learn at all. And so yeah, let's get started. So first of all, I would like to talk about my own story real quick. So the first language I started learning out of these three was Arabic. So I first started learning Arabic when I was 13, but I stopped after a while as I wasn't ready at that time. I didn't have any good resources and I didn't know how to get better ones. So the only thing I learned was the alphabet, and then I stopped learning Arabic for years. And I picked up Arabic again around about only 3 years ago, roundabout. Then at that age of 16, I started learning Russian. And although I also took some breaks from Russian, which is why my Russian is still not great today, but I always came back to it and I continued learning. And also again, on my own, I also learned Russian on my own. When it comes to Japanese, I only recently started learning it. I already tried learning it last year, but I stopped after a couple of weeks since it didn't really fit my schedule at that time, and I was also stuck at a certain point. And this is one of the main problems you can encounter if you're teaching yourself a language. I had this problem a lot before I started using ChatGPT, because before that I never had a teacher I could ask for some clarification on a certain topic, and always Googling it doesn't really help either. So I can really recommend ChatGPT to everyone who's learning a language or who's learning anything actually. Like, ChatGPT is a really helpful tool for all students in my opinion. Like, this is no paid advertisement. I'm not advertising ChatGPT right now. Like, I just personally can recommend this tool to you in case you haven't heard of it yet. But yeah, that was my story real quick, so let's finally get into the video. So first of all, let's talk about the language families and the relations these three languages might have. So Arabic is part of the Afro-Asiatic languages and belongs to the Semitic branch. Russian is part of the Indo-European languages and belongs to the Slavic branch. And Japanese is Japanese. Like, Japanese is mainly an isolated language on its own, with some theories linking it to the Altaic language family, but this is debated and I have no idea what the Altaic language family is. Like, I'm not a linguist, I just learned some languages, so I by myself need to look this up. So basically these three languages aren't related to one another at all, which makes it even harder to learn all three of them as an example, which is also the reason why I don't speak any Japanese yet, although I've been learning it on and off for a year. And also with Arabic and Russian, I don't really speak these languages yet, because it's quite hard for me to learn them, compared to languages like Italian as an example. Writing systems and alphabets. When it comes to the alphabets and writing systems, we see why all of these languages might take a bit longer to learn for an English speaker as an example, because none of them use the Latin alphabet. Russian comes closest when it comes to looking for familiar letters in the alphabet. The Russian language uses the Cyrillic script, which consists out of 33 letters and derived from Greek. Some of these letters look like the Latin letters and are also pronounced the same or similarly. So M is M, A is A, O is O, or also A like A sometimes. So пожалуйста as an example means please or you're welcome, and it's written like this. So it looks like an O, but it's pronounced пожалуйста, not пожалуйста, but пожалуйста. So some letters look the same, just like in the Latin alphabet, while others might look familiar, but they are pronounced entirely different than the same looking letter in the Latin alphabet. So as an example, if you see P, the letter which looks like a P, but in Russian it's an R. Arabic, on the other hand, has only 28 letters, but it is written from right to left and not from left to right. And almost all letters of the alphabet are consonants. And diacritics, I had to look up this word, which are small signs placed above or below the letter to indicate short vowels, are mostly omitted in daily writing, making it harder for beginners to read Arabic texts, especially if these include unfamiliar words. So basically every single Arabic word only consists out of consonants most of the time. And so if you don't know that word yet, you probably don't really have an idea of how to actually pronounce it. And this makes learning Arabic a lot harder. If you've already seen a text written in Arabic, you probably noticed that all letters are cursive, and that is already the standard script. The handwriting font people often use in daily life is even more cursive, and there are no block letters in Arabic, as well as no capital letters. And if that already sounds complicated, wait for Japanese. Japanese has 3 different writing systems. The kana system consists out of syllables, mostly with a consonant followed by a vowel, or single vowels, or an N. So Japanese has 2 different syllable alphabets, so to say, hiragana and katakana, which have 46 characters or letters each. So you have to learn 2 times 46 letters, and then you know 2 of the alphabets, or like the 2 alphabets. And then you have a lot of characters as well, but I'm going to talk about this in a minute. Sometimes the same letter looks quite similar in both hiragana and katakana, and other times you will just need to learn them. And now you might be asking, why would you need 2 different characters for every single syllable, for every single letter combination? I don't even know why, but like the difference between them is their usage basically. Hiragana is used for words of Japanese origin and katakana for words of foreign origin, but that's not already it. As I said, Japanese has 3 different writing systems, and the last one, and also the hardest one to learn, are the kanji characters. This logographic writing system consists out of characters which were influenced by the Chinese characters, and until today kanji and traditional Hanzi often look very similar. However, simplified Hanzi, which are commonly used in China nowadays, differ from both traditional Chinese characters and kanji characters. Often the meaning of a character which looks similar in both, in kanji and Hanzi, are similar or identical, especially for basic concepts. However, the meaning of more abstract words can differ a lot. So a Chinese character might look exactly like the Japanese character for letter, but in fact it means toilet paper. And since Chinese and Japanese are also from different language families, the pronunciation evolved separately. So yeah, like Chinese and Japanese sound nothing alike. They sound totally different. There exist about 50,000 kanji, and a Japanese high school student knows about 2,100 kanji. The Joyo kanji list consists out of 2,136 characters. So yeah, a Japanese high school student knows about 2,000 kanji by heart and can understand or recognize up to 3,000. And you need to know around 2,000 kanji for fluency. So yeah, I still have a long road ahead of me. But yeah, I don't think kanji is that hard to learn, especially if Japanese isn't your native language, because you need to learn the vocabulary anyway, so you just learn the corresponding kanji at the same time. But it's still, of course, a difference if you only need to learn how to pronounce something or if you also need to remember a character for a word. So most people would consider Japanese as the language with the hardest writing system out of these 3 languages we're comparing today. I wouldn't say it's necessarily easier than Chinese, since I think the kana alphabets really are a great help for me. Once you know hiragana and katakana, you at least know how to pronounce a word if it's written in kana, so this makes me feel less lost among kanjis, so to say. But we're not comparing Japanese and Chinese today, that's another video. Okay, now let's talk about the grammar, and I'm mainly going to talk about the hardest aspects of each language's grammar. So Arabic has gendered nouns, which might be a problem for English speakers as an example, but many languages have this, so it's not that much of a difficulty generally. Also, there's a female ending, the tarmabuta, Whenever you see this, you know it's a female noun or a female adjective, but not all female nouns have this, but this letter still is a help when it comes to remembering the gender of a noun. Also, if you want to say my house, you say beiti in one word. Beit means house, and with the e at the end, it means my house, beiti. If it was beitak, it would be your house, the masculine form, and then there's a different form if you're talking to a woman, and so on. Arabic also has a grammatical phenomenon called the dual, which is a form used when there's exactly two of something. So if you want to say one window, it's shubak. Multiple windows are shababik. Yes, this is the plural of the same word. And then if you have two windows, it's shubakin. Speaking of plurals, Arabic nouns often have irregular plural forms, also called broken plural. I can't pronounce this word. Plural. Many Arabic nouns form their plural by changing the middle of the word rather than adding a suffix, which is what would happen in most languages. So like most of the time you add an S as an example at the end of a word. There are also nouns with regular plurals, but often you simply need to learn each word with its plural form. Arabic is a root-based language, meaning most words are derived from a set of 3 consonants. So as an example, the root, if you have K, T, B, this is related to writing. So this root can generate kitab, book, katib, writer, maktab, office, maktub, written, and kataba means he wrote. And yeah, a hard part about Arabic is that you only have the 3 letters KTB as an example, but it's pronounced kataba. And you know these helping signs, to know if it's kataba or KTB or whatever, like you don't really know it if you don't know the word, because the helping signs are often omitted in daily life, and so if you don't know a word, you basically don't really know how to pronounce it at all. But what might sound confusing or complicated at first actually is really logical to me, and it has helped me to learn new words much faster, as I already get an idea what a word could mean based off its root, like if I already know the root, of course. So Arabic verbs come in 2 main tenses, the perfect tense for the past and the imperfect tense for the present or future. These 2 tenses are called aspects. They also exist in Russian, and they focus more on completed versus ongoing action rather than being strictly time-based. So 2 different tenses, like you don't have a ton of different verb endings, but like in the perfect aspect, so for the past, the changes happen at the end of a verb, while in the imperfect aspect, so the present tense, the change happens at the beginning of a verb. So yaktubu means he writes, and kataba, he wrote. If you have katabtu, this means I wrote. Katabta, you wrote for a man, and katabti, you wrote if you're talking to a woman. And all of these 3 forms are written the same. And the only way to tell them apart is by using harakat, the vowel marks, to indicate if it's an U, an A, or an I. Moving on to Russian grammar, Russian also has the verb aspect system with perfect and imperfect, and it works similar to Arabic. And all verb endings are actual endings, so you don't have prefixes, which are changing the meaning of a verb, but only suffixes. No changes at the beginning of a verb, like to change the person and action, but only at the end of a verb. However, Russian has 6 different cases, which means that a noun and also adjectives and pronouns can come with 6 different endings. This combined with the fact that Russian also has gendered nouns, so masculine, feminine, and neutral nouns, makes actually speaking the language really challenging, in my opinion, like from my own experience. Until today, this is my biggest problem, so like to combine all of this. So if you think of a random adjective like good as an example, dobry, this adjective can come in many different forms. As there are, as I said, 3 different genders, 6 different cases, and then you have both singular and plural, and so you have a lot of different forms. A case indicates the role of something in a sentence. So if you say ja čitaju knjigu, I am reading a book. Knjigu means book in this sentence, but this is not how you are learning the word for book. So you're going to learn knjiga, knjiga. Knjiga means book, and it is a feminine noun, but in the accusative it changes into knjigu with an u at the end. So as an example, the sentence Moja sestra pišuje pisma svojemu drugu o prirodi krasivoj ručkoj iz derevni. So my sister is writing a letter to her friend about nature with a beautiful pen from the village. So this is a random sentence, but in this sentence you have all 6 different cases present. Like, you always have different endings for every single word, and it's really hard to get started to learn this, I have to be honest. I don't want to discourage you from learning Russian now, but it is a challenge. At least from my opinion, it was quite challenging to get started with this. Japanese really seems to be the easiest when it comes to grammar, as it has no grammatical gender or plurals, and verb conjugations are simpler. However, there are different politeness levels, so there's the polite or the formal form used in most everyday conversations with people you are not very close to, like your co-workers as an example. Then verbs end with masse or desse. Then there's the casual form used with close friends and family. Then verbs often use the plain or dictionary form. And then there also is a form of honorific language. So you either elevate the listener so the person you're talking to, or you're using the language in a humble way, so to humble yourself and your actions when speaking to a superior, so to say. So like you're using the honorific form for the other person, but like this you are lowering yourself, so to say. So I would say the Japanese grammar is pretty easy. Like, I don't speak Japanese that well yet, like I don't speak it at all basically, like I'm still really learning it. But yeah, like I didn't include the most detailed breakdown for Japanese yet, because I would like to make a separate video for Japanese. Hopefully still within this year, but like not within the next 2 months probably. But yeah, so with all of this combined, Arabic probably has the hardest and most complex grammar, and Japanese the easiest. I think this is what most people would think, but like in my case, I struggle so hard with Russian. However, I think Russian and Arabic are, kind of on the same level, because I would really like to mention that most of these grammar rules for Arabic, they mainly apply to classical Arabic, so to Fusha, which is the language of the Quran and the classical literature. Modern Standard Arabic, which is the Arabic most learners start learning when they want to learn Arabic, like most foreigners, also has more complicated grammar, but like the actual spoken Arabic, like the everyday Arabic that you hear in the streets, that you just hear in daily life, is much easier than MSA, Modern Standard Arabic. So depending on your goals with the language, you will mainly need to understand MSA if you would like to follow the news, or like Fusha for religious reasons. But if you would mainly like to communicate with people, it's much easier to learn Arabic, like if you're just learning a dialect basically. Like, there are different dialects. I'm also going to make a video about this maybe, but like, in my opinion, if you just want to get started communicating in Arabic, in the spoken Arabic, it's much easier to learn the spoken Arabic, like to learn a dialect, because you don't have that much complicated grammar. On the other hand, if you want to speak Russian, there's only one Russian. You can't just be like, I'm just going to ignore the cases and the different endings. Like, people will look at you and will be like, what is this? Like they expect you to speak correct Russian, so to say, since there are also no real different dialects in Russian. So it's harder to speak Russian like a native speaker. Let's talk about vocabulary and about language proficiency levels. How many words do you need to know to become fluent in your target language? For Arabic and Russian, you need to know an estimate of around 3,000 to 5,000 words for a B2 level. A B2 level, according to the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, which goes from A1, like being the lowest, to C2, being like a native speaker, basically. Most people say that around B2 you are like considered fluent. Japanese, on the contrary, requires a larger vocabulary due to kanji readings, so you will need around 5,000 to 7,000 words for a B2 level. So I really think I still have a long way to go. I don't know if I will ever speak Japanese fluently. I don't know. Japan uses the GLPT, the Japanese Language Proficiency Test, which has 5 levels, N5 being the lowest, where you can understand simple phrases, and N1 being the highest level with near native comprehension and fluency. So now let's talk about the sentence structure, or like the word order in sentences. When it comes to sentence structure, most widely spoken languages use the common subject-verb-object pattern. So I see a cow. I am the subject, the verb is to see, and the cow is the object. Russian also uses this pattern, but it stays flexible due to the usage of different cases. Arabic, on the other hand, uses the verb subject object pattern. كتب الكاتب بالقلم. The writer wrote with the pen. However, also Arabic stays flexible with the word order in a sentence, so a short, simple, spoken phrase can also come in the subject-verb-object pattern. So Mariam fi beta. Mariam is in her house, as an example. Japanese uses the subject-object-verb pattern and stays highly consistent with this. So watashi wa ringo o tabemasu. I eat an apple. Japanese also has a variety of particles called joshi, which are small grammatical markers to indicate the relationship between words in a sentence. So watashi wa means I am talking about myself. Mizu is water, and o is the direct object markers. So like watashi wa it's about me, I do something, and then mizo, I do something to the water, or something is done to the water. O mizo, and nomimasu is drink, I drink water. Like if you would really like to learn Japanese, look it up by a native speaker, by a professional. I just want to give you a quick overview. Now, which language is the hardest when it comes to the word order in sentences? I think neither. They all come with their own challenges, so basic phrases are always easy to understand, and the longer the phrase, the harder it is going to be to understand it. Like maybe a language is harder because of the word order in a sentence, maybe because of the different cases, like in Russian as an example, or because of the different particles, like in Japanese, so there are always going to be some challenges. Now, when it comes to the pronunciation, I definitely personally think Japanese is the easiest, at least for me. Arabic has emphatic consonants and sounds like ein and cha, which are unfamiliar to most learners. Russian, on the other hand, has complex consonant clusters and soft and hard consonants, while Japanese has a simple phonetic system with few sounds, but like the accent pitch matters. So regarding pronunciation, for most learners, I think Arabic is going to be the hardest to master due to unfamiliar consonants and so on, basically. But like for me personally, I think it's also Arabic. Like I think it's Arabic or Russian, but it's not like, but like right now I also can't really pronounce Japanese. But I think it's the easiest to master the Japanese pronunciation, as Japanese really has the easiest out of these three, I think. Now my script died on my phone. Now I'm just going to improvise the rest of the video. So to sum up all of this, I think Arabic is the most widely spoken one with 400 million speakers, like native speakers and people who speak it as a second language, as an example. And then Russian has, I think, 200 million around speakers, and like 100 something million, I think 140 million native speakers, and then more people who speak it as a second language or like just use it sometimes. Japanese has around 100 something million speakers, I think. Like I'm going to insert the correct numbers on the screen. But these are all widely spoken languages. However, Japanese is mainly spoken in Japan, and Arabic, like you can speak it in many different countries, and also Russian, you can speak it in many different countries. If you want to master the pronunciation, Arabic is the hardest and Japanese the easiest. If you want to master the writing and the reading, and you want to read everything and you want to understand everything that is written somewhere, Japanese is going to be the hardest and Russian the easiest. And if you would like to sound like a native speaker and you would like to actually speak correctly, Russian is going to be the hardest, like to master all of the different cases. So I can only recommend you to learn one of these three languages. They are all really beautiful languages. And also really, like I really am really motivated to learn Russian and Arabic in particular, also Japanese now. It's just, if it's more of a challenge, you're more motivated, in my case. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of these three languages. And I know the video was really long, so thanks for watching. Like, thanks for watching in general, but thanks if you're still watching until now. Like, this was a really long video. So I hope you liked the video. And if you did, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a like. And if you didn't like it, feel free to let me know why in the comments. And also, feel free to let me know which of these languages you would like to learn, or which of these languages you are already learning, or which of these languages you grew up with, you are already speaking, maybe you're a native speaker. Or if you already learned Japanese till fluency, feel free to give me some tips as an example. So and then I'm going to, I really want to continue on this channel. I want to make more videos on this channel, so soon you will see much more videos. hopefully. So I wish you lots of success on your own language learning journey, and yeah, see you in the next video. All right, bye.